So today I gave myself a hard challenge. Can I beat Silksong's Act 3, which is the hardest act with the most hardest bosses ever in cursed mode? I'm on a challenge to complete a bunch of Hollow Knight Silksong challenges before I can hit 1,000 subscribers, and if I can't do that, I have to beat the game without getting hit. So make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Bruh. Now when we first spawn in Act 3, the Abyss, we go down over here and we're supposed to call our friend Bell Beast, but instead the Bell Eater comes up, which is the first boss in Act 3. Bell Eater sits low and huge and moves along the walls and ceiling, and the fight is all about waiting for the right moment to hit. It charges across the floor and sometimes curls up and spirals along the roof, so you have to watch where it's coming from, and those moves leave little dust or marks that tell you where a bell is going to fall next. Mid-fight, it starts a bell barrage where big bells drop from above and bounce around the room, and if you stand in the dust spots, you'll get hit, so you have to keep moving and stay out of the fall zones. It has a tail and head strikes that sweep across the arena, and those attacks leave short windows where you can get in a hit, but the openings are small so you can't rush. The boss keeps pressure on by pushing you to the edges and making his safe spots move, so you're jumping, dodging, and landing quick hits when it pauses. In Curse mode, you can't rely on healing the same way, so every dodge and every hit matters even more. Play patient, look for the dust that shows where the bell will land, jump in only on small openings, and don't stay in the same place because the room will punish you with falling bells and sweeps.
Today's subject.
Well, finally, when the fight is over, the Bell Beast comes out of nowhere and saves the day. It becomes our friend once more, and we finally learn the Beasting Call. Then we use Bell Beast to travel all the way back to Bone Bottom, and then we were gonna fight Mossmother. Mossmother shows up again, and this time she's faster and meaner than before. She flies around with the big room, and when she dives down, you can see the ground shake just a bit before she slams the floor. She also rams the ceiling hard, and big rock pieces start falling without much warning, so you shift your feet, keep your eyes up, and dodge these drops. She'll lash out with her stinger and slide across the wall or roof, and those moves might catch you if you're not ready. On top of all that, she got void power now, so all her hits pack extra weight and you can't treat her like the old version. In the conclusion though, this Mossmother is a little bit similar than the one before. It just extra moves and just extra power, so it's not really too different. She still does the dive down thing, which is incredibly easy to dodge and hit it right after. We went into Bone Bottom and we talked to the Snail Shamans. After we talked to them, they basically gave us the objective to go to the Abyss. We talked to the Forge Darter, and then we talked to Ballo over here. He basically told us to go meet him somewhere, and then we obviously went there. We went across the deep docks doing more parkour, going up, and we spoke to Ballo over here, and he gave us the diving bell key to open up this thing. We strapped up in the sea bell and we went down in this cutscene, and our spaceship broke actually, but then we finally entered the Abyss area. This is basically like the main area of Act 3. Now, our first objective in the Abyss area in Act 3 is to get the new ability, the Silk Sword. First up, we talked to these people screaming down over here, and then we did some more parkour using the Needlon, and we made it to this section over here, which I binded, and learned the Silk Sword. This is basically like the super jump from Hollow Knight, the original one, but this time it's going upward then sideways. Obviously, we did some more parkour after that, going along this pathway over here. We entered like this fire thing, and this is the area that sucks the most. The amount of times that I died on this area, and they gave me silk over here like I'm able to use it. But basically what we have to do is just dodge all the lava rising up and just keep going up. So we obviously did that, doing more parkour, and then we finally made it to this area where we did the super jump, and look at this beautiful cutscene. We finally made it, and look how tired I am. Now we go back to the 3 snail guys and talk to them, and they basically gave us a new objective. Now the new objective, what we basically have to do is just go hunt down 4 hearts and return them back to them so they can do something on us. But we basically use the song over here and enter like the first heart section, and the first thing we enter is the Coral Tower. The Coral Tower starts off calm, but as soon as you step deeper, the doors lock and the first wave hits. It's packed with those small coral guards that rush at you the second they spot you. They swing fast, and the room shape makes dodging tight, so you have to keep jumping between walls and landing hits when you can. Then more enemies drop in, these tall coral knives with long reach, and when they swing, it shakes the floor for a second. You have to stay on the ground or get knocked around. The next wave brings in flying bugs with sharp fins that zip back and forth across the room, and if you're not watching, they'll cut through you mid-jump. You get surrounded real quick, so it's all about staying mobile and clearing them before the next set drops. Then it gets worse. The coral beasts crawl around the wall, spinning small shards that bounce around the ground, and you have to move fast because standing still means getting hit from every side. It feels like the room keeps changing with each wave, lights flickering, ground shaking, enemies coming faster, and you start getting used to reading their movement and reacting before they attack, and never letting them corner you. By the last wave, the room fills with a mix of all of them, flyers, guards, beasts, and it feels like a storm of movement, and every second you stay alive feels like you're one step closer to reaching the top. Crust King Khan looms at the top of the Coral Tower, and right away you see his fights by summoning coral columns and spikes instead of swinging big weapons. He plants a red glow where a coral pillar will shoot up, so you have to move out of those spots and then jump in when it's safe. Sometimes he jumps and lands hard to trigger spikes across the floor, and when you see him lift up, you know you're about to dodge. He also summons 2 diagonal coral pillars that cross the room like an X, and you have to stay in the middle or under him while they burst out. As the fight goes on, he speeds up, the columns come faster, more of the spikes fall down from above, and you have less time to stop and get hit. The trick is watching where the red marks show, moving before the coral hits, and then getting your strike while he's paused. You learn to read the air, the floor, and his body all at once. If you rush in when the marks show you're in danger, you get caught. When you wait, dodge, clear, then hit, you make ground, and when he finally cracks and falls, you feel like you climbed the whole tower and earned it. Which I obviously did that by earning the first heart. And then we went to the second one over here, we spoke to him, sang our song, and then we went inside the second one. This one is a little bit different than the other one. This time it's just a wave of mini bosses, and then at the end you fight the very big boss. The waves leading up to the big fight throw all kinds of Scar minions at you, and you have to deal with them one after another without slowing down. First you step into a courtyard and small ant warriors charge straight at you with short blades, forcing you to dodge, hit once or twice, and then back off before the next one comes. After you defeat all of them, the big boss shows up. She moves like she's dancing, floating across the room with twin daggers in hands and making sure you're always watching where she's about to strike. Sometimes she spins in place, swings both blades while you're trying to jump in, sometimes she leaps high and throws her blades down in wide arcs, and other times she dashes sideways and leaps spike bursting up from the floor. The hardest part is the pause after her big moves, and you think you have time to rush in, but she uses that pause to trick you, and if you hit too early you get caught in her counter. She gets faster as her health drops, so the windows you used earlier can get shorter, and you have to dodge quicker, pick your hits more carefully, and keep your cool while your mind is telling you to rush. The room feels like it shrinks because she covers more ground more often and making you feel boxed in when you least expect it. Now we did end up dying at this boss multiple times. I actually ended up dying over and over again, which really sucked. Landing that final hit after all of that you just faced feels massive because not only you be here, you cleared everything that led here. Obviously I died a couple times, but still we made it. After that we obtained the Hunter's Heart, which is the second heart that I needed. We went back into like the Shellwood area, and this time we met a security guard guarding the third heart. Shrine guarding Sheth stands at the shrines blocking the pathway to the third heart. He holds his long pin ready and a small shield in the other hand, and he moves fast, slashing with the pin, throwing the shield, and then teleporting it back to strike again. You have to watch him carefully because every move can hit you if you're too slow. When he tosses the shield, you dodge sideways and wait for a moment when he's paused and then jump in to get a strike. Sometimes he swings quickly in a combo, so you step back, wait, and go in only when there's space. The fight is short but tense because he keeps you moving, reading his attacks, and finding the right moment to hit without getting caught. Finally, after defeating him, we went along this pathway over here and we entered like the real thing where we sing our song, then we go along this pathway over here and we finally entered the third heart boss fight. In curse mode, Nylith is even more dangerous because you can't heal, so every mistake matters. She waits in the shrine on a platform that starts big but shrinks as the fight goes on. She fires balls of yellow slime that roll across the floor, and you have to watch the path they take, jump over them, or move out the way so you don't get hit. Sometimes she makes thorn spreads pop up from the ground and they leave little smoke trails that show where they will burst, so you have to pay attention, jump at the right moment, and then hit her while it's safe. The platform in the middle breaks later in the fight, leaving smaller spaces to stand and spikes underneath that'll hurt you if you fall. You have to cling to walls or jump across the platforms to avoid the spikes while timing your attacks carefully. She also lunges across the arena fast, and if you're not ready you can get pushed into the spikes or slime. Now she is the easiest out of the 4 bosses, but it doesn't mean she was easy. We finally defeated her and got the Pollen Heart, which is the third heart. Then we went back to Greymoor over here and we had to go to the crawl line to enter the Lost Verdania area. Now our goal in this area is to help this guy retrack his memory again, so when you go around the area there's going to be like statues. Once you hit them, around them there's going to be glowing orbs that help him regain his memory. There's like 5 of them. As you can see, we captured the first one over here. We just get some glowing orbs around them, and then we did some more parkour in this area trying to find a second one, which we did, so we grabbed all the glowing orbs around that as well. Then we found the third one, which we do the same thing, just get the glowing orbs around them to help regain his memory. We found the last statue over here, and after we grabbed all the orbs, we go into this boss fight over here. Palistag shows up in the Lost Verdania, and the fight is all about dodging the spinning leaf attacks. She stays back most of the time, sending out a circle of leaves that fly across the room in different ways. Some go high, some go low, and you have to watch close and move at the right time. Once she disappears, you know she's about to come back with even more leaves flying around, and it gets harder to find safe spots. And she's not the hardest boss ever. Even in curse mode, it's not that hard to defeat, but after she dies, she gives us more glowing orbs, and we find the last section. Then at the end, we had to find 3 water statues over here and bring them all up. Then after that, we go into the middle, sing our song, and then they spawn in the last section of orbs. We get all of them, we get this big bright light, and the guy finally regained his memory, so we go talk to him, and then now we're about to run the ones with him. What?
What?
The Clover dancers are a tougher version of the Cogwork dancers, and the fight feels familiar at first but turns wild fast. There are two of them again and moving together across the arena, spinning, dashing, and shooting bright beams that fill the screen. They don't always attack in sync, so one might dash through the floor while the other jumps high and shoots from above, forcing you to dodge in two directions at once. You can't just focus on one dancer or you'll get hit by the other right away. Sometimes they spin together in the middle, creating a burst of slashes and beams that cover nearly everything, and the only safe way is to move to the edge and wait it out. When they stop, you rush in for a few hits before they vanish and reappear in another corner. The fight is constant motion, jumping, dodging, striking, and pulling back before the next wave starts. In curse mode, it's worse because you can't afford even one mistake, and the speed of their attacks leaves no time to rest. The only thing different about this one and the Cogwork dancers is their beam of light becomes way shorter than before. The other one is just very long, but basically after you defeat them, you get this really cool animation and you get the last and final heart. Then we go back to the snail people over here and sit on the bench, and they put like a ritual on me. They put a spell, they put a lot of red lights on me, and basically we went into this cutscene over here, which we entered like the red memory. We also entered this cutscene over here where these people are looking at me and they basically said to show my skill. But basically all we did in the red memory was doing more parkour, going across these platforms. We talked to this thing over here, and we entered this section which there was a lot of books and a lot of memory basically, and we made it to the last and final stop, which is this tree over here, and then we finally obtained the Everloom. Then we go back to the abyss and talk to our friend Lace, and then she basically tells us to meet her down there. So what we do is just basically dive. We get this beautiful cutscene, look at me holding the Everbloom, and then now we're about to... But all jokes aside, now we're about to fight the hardest boss in the entire game, which gives us the true ending.
Yeah, boy.
It's time to
Lost Lace shows up in the abyss, and from the moment it starts, you know this fight is something else. She moves like she's been watching you for the whole playthrough, and now she's decided it's time. First thing she does is dive into the ground and pop out onto you or behind you, so you can't just sit somewhere safe. You have to keep switching where you stand, jumping, dashing, and looking for her to tell. Then she sends out her pin in a quick slash combo, then a dash, then more slashes, so you're trying to read the pattern while she mixes it up. Suddenly she'll disappear in black void mist and throw out tendrils from the ground or projectiles from above, and those attacks come fast. I died over and over trying to get the timing on those, when to jump, when to dodge, when to strike. Later in the fight, the room changes, the void effect deepens, the air looks darker, and her attacks fill more of the screen. She uses big waves of shadow that cover the ground and ceiling, so there's less safe space than before. You have to wait for her to finish a long move, then rush in for a hit, then go right back to dodging, or the next attack hits you hard. There's a moment where she laps, and you know it's the worst part coming. The tell gives you a second, but you've got to jump fast, avoiding the spike of tendrils, and then hit her while she's recovering. Every time I got her health down, I thought maybe this is it, but she changed the pattern again, and I'd lose another run. Finally, when she cracked and collapsed, I nearly threw the controller, not because I was mad, because it felt like I survived the fight I almost didn't. But basically after that, we picked her up, and Grandmother Silk told us to leave, so we did a super jump super fast. We got this little cutscene over here, and we saw the main character from the first game. God damn!